the city council, the committee of the whole, as it were, and we're joined by the Police Accountability Board. And I wanted to just go through and do introductions since we don't see each other very often. And I'll go across my screen. We try to keep up. We're joined by Katie Hesselwander, who is the assistant to the chief of staff, BJ Scanlon, who is our chief of staff, Councilmember Jose Pio, PAB member, Reverend Matthew Nikoloff, PAB member, Dr. Robert Harrison, PAB Chair, Shani Wilson, City Council member, our newest addition, Miguel Melendez, City Corporation Council, Tim Curtin, Assistant City Clerk or Deputy City Clerk, Condanessa Brown, City Council member, Lachey Harris, Council member, Mary Lupian, Council member, Mitch Gruber, PAB member, Dr. Ricky Harvey, PAB member, Ida Perez, PAB member, Rabbi Dora Seto, PABED, Connor Reynolds, City Council member Malik Evans, PAB member Dr. Celia McIntosh, City Council member Vice President Willie Lightfoot, Council Clerk Hazel Washington, and City Council member Michael Patterson. I want to thank you all for joining us this evening. I ask you to meet so that we could have a discussion. I'm just troubled at the way we are progressing, and it's become evident that somewhere along the way, we've sort of grown not to be friends. You know, when you grow up and you have a childhood friend or something, all of a sudden they stop speaking to you, or they got some issue and say, well, why are you mad at me? So it's kind of like that, because we are the premier advocates for this effort. So it troubles me that we appear to be in a different space on different pages in terms of our understanding and our commitment. So in order to sort of lay out a framework, I do have a statement I want to read into the record, and I'll read it again on Tuesday as well. The City Council stands firmly behind our support of the Police Accountability Board that we created by approving Local Law 2019-2, as demonstrated by our appeal to restore its full powers in the court system. We recognize that, as with any new endeavor, especially one with multiple stakeholders, there can and very likely will be growing pains. These growing pains are compounded by the impact of COVID-19 pandemic, which has prevented in-person public meetings for most of the year and has not allowed the council, the PAB, nor their proposed executive director to have face-to-face conversations. Recently, there has been significant discussion around the nuance of the Police Accountability Board's independence and what that independence means. I want to provide some historical context to this conversation to share how I viewed the independence of the PAB. The predecessor board of the Police Accountability Board was known as the Civilian Review Board, or CRB. The CRB was funded directly from the budget of the Rochester Police Department, meaning the RPD selected the vendor and approved the contract for the oversight agency. When we wrote, discussed, and adopted Local Law 2019-2, we knew we could not continue to fund a PAB through the department's budget. That's why we clearly stated that the PAB shall be an autonomous office of the city, separate from the Rochester Police Department and other local, state, and federal law enforcement agencies. We never indicated that the PAB would be a department in and of itself, but a separate office under the City Council. When we put together our budget, there were 3 offices under the City Council: the Office of the City Clerk, the Office of the City Council, and the Police Accountability Board. We believe in the work that the PAB is chartered to do, but we also know that the work performed by the board and their executive director must be accountable as with all taxpayer-funded institutions. That's why the City Council, a group of individuals with a diverse array of backgrounds who are elected by the citizens of this community, must have judicious oversight of the PAB. We have been clear about that, and it is baked into the legislation. The council must select 4 of the PAB members and appoint all 9. The council must confirm an executive director. The council must approve contracts for the PAB, and the list of connections continues. I am committed to working through the growing pains with the board, but in order to do that effectively, we must work together. The council is not the enemy of the PAB. In fact, we are and have been its strongest champion. Moving forward, we will need to have a more clear and shared understanding of the role of the PAB and its relationship within the context of the city. This is a totally new effort for us all. We must also acknowledge the reality of our city finances. Rochester, like many cities across the nation, is facing the harsh reality of a fiscal crisis exacerbated by the COVID-19 pandemic. We know it's possible that the city's budget may shrink next year, and we must be thoughtful in how the budgetary needs across all city services will be funded, and that everyone will be expected to do more with less. The city and the PAB must have a harmonious relationship. We cannot and will not be at odds. That's because that will not move us toward the ultimate goal, which is justice. So I wanted to read that and lay that out as a prelude to the conversation that we will have momentarily, which gets to the heart of our concern about the proposed confirmation. And since that is a personnel matter, I would ask for a motion to go into executive session.
So moved, Madam President.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you. And we will momentarily